YouTube. And we're live on TikTok.
Great. I will share that with the team. Get some people rolling in.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyone tuning in, just bear with us. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes.
Perfect. Oops. Okay. Welcome, Carrie. Thanks for liking the live. It's always a pleasure to have you in here. I know you guys got storms coming your way, so I don't know. I was gonna say for you, but I guess the desert needs some rain sometimes. Cool. Yeah, for anyone tuning in, we're live on YouTube, TikTok, and we'll give it another minute, the 38 marker, and then we will dive in. So feel free, come on in, and we'll get rocking and rolling soon.
Yes. Almost ready. Hopefully this is a pretty smooth one this time. I was worried about some audio issues, but we should be good.
Yeah, I think people don't really, if you haven't done a live yourself, it's very interesting and surprising how how much technology understanding you need to do it.
Yeah, especially the way we do it, because we're trying to stream on multiple systems. I'm guessing if you just do it through the TikTok app or just one app on the phone with one person, it's probably a lot easier. But
Sure, that makes sense too.
we have to be scalable so we can stream on different networks and be as engaging and as wide a range as possible so people can get our message.
Yeah. Welcome to Beanie and Chevy. Yeah, we're gonna get started. Dinah, welcome. Yeah, we're gonna get rocking and rolling soon. Thanks for joining us, guys. Yeah, so we are Fink, Future is Now Coalition. Welcome. We're live right now on YouTube and our TikTok, and we're going to be, joining some other social media soon. So just be on the lookout for that. And at Fink, we know that democracy today, it feels so out of reach. It feels inaccessible, and it's certainly unrepresentative to the will of the people. So again, we are Fink, and you can think of us as your civic utility company. And what does utility company even do? Well, right, it connects people to shared resources and runs on shared standards. So that's exactly what Fink is doing to democracy. We plug everyone into a fair, citizen led system of representation. And we do this by making participation simple. And how do we make it simple? We put every candidate on equal footing. We lower the barriers for grassroots voices, and we streamline the democratic process. So all of that culminates into less waste, more representation, and built-in accountability with these shared standards that keep leaders answerable to the people, right? While also reducing the sway of money in politics. So plug in, get heard, uh, be heard, and get results. So that is who we are as Fink in a nutshell. Before we dive in, I want to remind everyone that with such a unique mission, we are so people powered, right? And what does that mean to be people powered? Well, our mission relies on people just like you helping to boost our signal, boost our mission, viewing the content we put out, hearting, liking, commenting, sharing, simple things like that. A very simple thing to do jump in the comment section. Let us know you're here. Let us know what you want to talk about. Engage with us. And just remember hitting that follow button. Every follower really counts to such a people-powered mission. And we're over halfway to our goal of 1,000. So thank you to people who have followed us. If you're not, hit that follow button. And with that, I will turn it over to Chris for today.
Yeah, so today's episode, we're getting into what we call the participation maze. And that's the idea of just, it's not, it's kind of, it's hard to stay on top of like who's running, especially the primaries, who's running, where does everyone stand, other than knowing that there's a Democrat and there's a Republican, like the specifics between each. And again, especially the primaries, you get very little information. It does range state by state. Some states give you a sample ballot. Some states even give you like a flyer, some basic information of each candidate. But most states don't really give you anything. They expect you to do your own research of who's running, what's the difference between the Democrats running and the Republicans running, stuff like that. So anyway, so the primaries are the most difficult, but even the general elections, it's just they make it very convoluted, and a lot of that is by design. They don't want participation. The more people vote, the more threatening it is to the establishment, and this works both Democrats and Republicans. They know this statistically, that the more people that are voting, it's going to land more towards the grassroots candidates. And like better choices for you, worse choices for the establishment and those that, want to get away with whatever they practically get away with murder, sometimes literally. So today we're talking about the maze itself and how it's hard to participate, as well as how our mission and the solutions that we are presenting to America will really streamline the effort and streamline how hard it is, like make it a lot simpler to participate. Most Americans, like, us on this organization, we're very politically aware and politically charged, but most Americans, they don't want to spend hours and hours understanding what's going on. They just want to, if they're going to vote, they don't want to put that much effort in, hours and hours, ongoingly learning what's going on. They want to be able to just get the streamlined information. What do I need to know? Help me make the right decision. So that's what we envision. So the long-term plan is having a one-stop shop for politics. You put your zip code in. These are the candidates running. This is who funds their campaign. This is how consistent they are with their promises. And not push you towards a specific candidate, but help you give you the right information so you can make the choice yourself, but without having to spend an exorbitant amount of time figuring it all out. So that's basically what this episode is about and what we're going to talk about. We have a couple clips of parodies that we did for social media, and so we'll talk about that as well as this issue as a whole. So I'm going to pass it to you, Liz, and then we'll talk for a minute, and then I'll get into the first video.
Absolutely. Something you said, Travis, was people don't want to put in those hours, and to me, and I think like most people, it's that we don't have those hours, right? Many of us working 2, sometimes 3 jobs. You probably have kids. You probably got to clean the house. You probably got to do X, Y, and Z. And at Fink, we often say politics, getting ready to be a voter should not be a second job. And so again, it goes back to making it simpler, right? Making it accessible, making it digestible. Those things are simply not in the system we have today. Like Travis said, that's right? Because more voters putting in their honest values and who they want in office, it does shake up those in power today. Again, talking about Democrats versus Republicans. We're not talking policy stances. We just want you to be represented in government. And right now, that is not happening. And so that's what we're talking about today. But just a final thought about the participation maze is that, you know what? I lost my train of thought. That's okay. Pass it back to you, Travis.
Cool. No problem. It happens. All right, cool. So yeah, let's we'll get into the first clip here. Give me a second. Oops, wrong button.
Okay, R2, I'm ready to vote. I researched all the candidates.
Hold on. I'm not seeing it. Hold on. Everything ready here. Why is it not showing?
Okay, R2, I'm ready to vote. I researched all the candidates.
Hold on, one more time.
Okay, R2, I'm ready to vote. I researched all the candidates and found the best representative for our party. What do you mean they've already decided on a nominee? Who are they? If you think you can brainwash me into supporting a pre-selected candidate, you've got...
Pre-approved candidate enthusiasm installed.
R2, have you heard? Our party has selected the best candidate for the job. Yes, I too am very happy, but for some reason, my components feel violated.
So I think only TikTok saw that. YouTube did not. So I apologize. But everything in practice, everything when I'm practicing, things work perfectly, and then in it actually doesn't in real life. I guess that's what they call it, the Murphy Law. Anyway, so yeah, so the
man.
yeah, so yeah, it happens. But so anyway, so the first video, and you can find all these on YouTube. We have them on the on our YouTube Shorts section. So I mean, you know, this is more about entertainment. It doesn't really get the breakdown, but the bottom line is that the point we're addressing there is that like we have choices to vote. Like your vote does count, but we're manipulated to vote a certain way, and that's how we're not really in a true democracy. You know, so if we all voted for who we genuinely wanted to vote for, if you wanted a third party, you voted third party. You want an independent, you vote independent. Even the primaries, if you voted for the person that you genuinely want and not the one that the media tells you is the most viable candidate, stuff like that, like we would be in a better situation. And so that's a lot of what our goal is at Think, is to kind of rewire the influence of how people vote, because we're all influenced by the party leaders, the mainstream media, and those with the most money, and they all have certain interests that are not your interests. And you know, it's still crazy. Like you know, a third party independent, they only get like 3 to 5% of the vote in a general election, and yet right now all the statistics are showing that right now third parties are actually the largest amount of voters are now third party instead of one of the major two parties. And that's never happened before in modern history. You know, polling shows that 63% of Americans want third parties and want a viable third party option. And like I said, the registration, like that, you know, polls can be, you know, questioned, but like actual registered voters are now registering as third party independent rather than one of the two parties. So again, more people are registered not in the two parties than are in one of those two parties. That's never happened before in our lifetime. So the numbers are there, but then when push comes to shove voting, we all get scared into the lesser two evils, and we get scared into the manipulation game, and we end up voting for what the establishment wants us to vote for. That you have an establishment Democrat choice, you have an establishment Republican choice, and then you get to pick between the two. And that's what we need to overcome as a society in order to move society on the right track. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, and I just want to help conceptualize, with 63% of people wanting, you know, viable third-party independent voices on a ballot, it's not that easy for a non-establishment, you know, non-D, non-R person to even get on the ballot for you to be able to vote for them. So that's kind of a hidden piece of this puzzle. Depending on your state laws, right? You often need 3, 4, 5 more times the amount of signatures to get on a ballot. But then if you're just a grassroots candidate, you don't have access to party money, party access to networking, party access to fundraising, right? So simply by America saying, hey, we're sick of Democrats, we're sick of Republicans, let's try something else. It's not just a matter of just populating the ballot. There's such access points to even getting out that hard. So not only is it hard to vote better, it's hard for a good candidate to even be a part or an option for you to vote for. So it's all of these uphill battles that are baked into this rigged system to keep out smaller, less funded, maybe even more popular grassroots candidates. And so we're trying to say, hey, look at the power, look at this uphill battle that they have to fight for just to get on the same level. Yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Travis.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it is a fact. Like there will be like really powerful, popular candidates that most like, you know, we're not saying we endorse them specifically, but there's a really good example with Bernie that both in 2016 and 2020 during the primaries, he was the most popular politician in the country in 2016, and yet the media was saying he's not electable, no one wants him, voting for him is basically voting for Trump. And like none of the stats prove that. It proved the opposite, and yet they convinced people that he was he's a risky person. So again, we're not endorsing him, but the statistics, especially on the left, obviously wanted him, and yet that was a threat to the establishment, so they buried him. And even at the time of 2016, the media wouldn't talk about him. They would bury him, wouldn't give him any coverage. Eventually, there's enough of a push and a fight back by a lot of citizens that now, you know, since then he's been on the media. But a lot of really good candidates on both sides get drowned out because the moment you're a threat, you're not going to be on the media, and you're not going to get the backing of the DNC and RNC and the party leaders. They are going to push as much as they can against you if you were a threat to the status quo. And again, that is a fact. You know, so what we're trying to do is bring people together, not left versus right, because no one's going to win if we keep that battle, and it's a false choice, and it's not the core issue. I know there's a lot of issues that feel like it's such a problem, but the bigger issue is up versus down. It's people versus power, and that's where we're trying to get people's minds to really understand what's going on in the country. Because again, I say this a lot. There's millions of wonderful candidates out there, and you just never heard their name because they don't sell their souls, so they don't have the money to buy a louder voice, and the establishment buries them. And so, you know, every now and then a grassroots candidate makes it to the top, but they have a huge uphill battle. And then even so, like there's certain candidates like AOC and Bernie on the left that they raise exorbitant amount of money just by small dollar donations and not taking corporate money. So the model does work if you could get past the you know all the stacking against them. You know, and again, it happens on both sides. That anyone phenomenal. I mean, even like the Tea Party started off as a very grassroots, people-powered movement on the right, and then the Koch brothers invested millions of dollars to kind of mess it up and kind of change it from what it was originally meant to be. So it happens on both sides. Anyway, we'll go into the other video, and then we'll dive into like our solutions and a lot of different stuff. Yeah, it's Koch brothers on the right, and then what's his face on the left, Soros on the left, are like the biggest donors on each side. So I think I fixed the YouTube thing. Fingers crossed, but I know TikTok is going to see this. Hang on.
Okay, R2, I'm ready to vote. I researched.
Hold on, one more try here. I don't know why.
Okay, R2, I'm ready to vote. I researched all the candidates and found the best representative for our party. What do you mean they've already decided on a nominee? Who are they? If you think you can brainwash...
Hello? 3 close polling places and 2 that said I was in the wrong district, but I made it in time to vote.
Couldn't take the hint, huh? Use machine number 3.
Oh, don't! Why is it so difficult to vote?
Use the double wide. Sheesh. What's it gonna take to get these people to stop voting already?
Ooh, I finally get to vote for someone who represents me.
1 vote for party pick. Thank you.
No, I wanted my pick.
2 votes for party pick.
Come on, it's time for a change!
3 votes for party pick.
No, no, no!
6 votes for pre-approved party pick.
Hey, I only meant one of those votes for the party's pick. This system is rigged! Must tell the people! This doesn't happen in America! Maybe Ohio, but not in America!
I mean, again, these are more entertainment. They're not actually explaining anything, but hopefully they're fun for y'all. But anyway, so the overall idea is just they want to make it harder because all the statistics show that the higher the voter turnout, the more grassroots the candidate has, the better chance to win. And this is in the primary and the general election. So it's hard. They by design they don't want it to be as easy. We're not even talking about, I know, like on the right, a lot of people talk about like illegal voting and stuff. We're not talking about that. We don't have a stance on that. But not even talking about like that thing. Like it's not about illegals voting. We're talking about Americans, like, citizens, very, very clearly people that deserve to be able to vote are like, one of the things that happens is they get scraped off the registrations. Most states, when you register, you only register once, and then the only time you have to change anything is just when you move. But a lot of states, people find out like on election day that they were scraped, they were scrapped from the registration. And even if there's some kind of valid excuse about their identification or something, you got to tell somebody ahead of time. You don't like, oh, by the way, on election day you can't vote. Like, if there's a genuine reason to take them off the registration, you need to give them time to actually like make a change and like fix whatever the issue is. So that happens a lot in varied states. Go ahead, Lizzie. I think you have something to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. So a previous job I had was voter registration, and like the job was to reach out to people who maybe haven't voted in a few years or never voted, right? But a lot of the job, I live in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is very, at least in the past decade or so, no urges without that communication tool. So a lot of my time as voter registration was actually re-registering people. And it's not like, hey, you just didn't tell the DMV you moved or XYZ. It was because they missed like a city council or a school board election, very minimal. It's just that they didn't have the habitual record. So that was their valid excuse for kicking people off. But I just wanted to throw out, that's a very real reality for a lot of people. There's no communication, no awareness that you're not registered to vote anymore. And then, you wait, maybe 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to vote if you don't go early. And then what? You're supposed to run to the DMV? Like, it's such a messy process that these dams in the river of voting are put in place, and if you don't see them ahead of time, how can you prepare? So yeah, that is just such a reality for people in Wisconsin. I'm sure other states have very tight voter purging rules too. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it varies by states. Like New Jersey, we have one of the best like voter participation systems. So I've lucked out, but I know it's one of like the top like 5 rated for like best places to be able to vote in or whatever. But yeah, so it really does it does totally vary in that way. That's actually a great point, Carrie. I never thought of that. Yeah, like people that are saying they're registering people, maybe there's bad actors that, anyone that's on the wrong side, they don't register them and they only submit the ones on their side, kind of a thing. Could totally happen. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, so getting into the nitty gritty here. So kind of just quickly outlining like all the main problems of the maze is, so a lot of it is pre-selecting and soft coronations. Before a primary begins, the establishment tends to already know who they want to win. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because so they know who they want to win. They're going to make a big deal about it. They're going to push it in front of you as the voter. The media is going to give these people attention right off the gate because they're the ones that the establishment wants to win. And a lot of times maybe they don't even see this as a cheat. They don't see it as unfair, but we're pretty sure this guy's going to win, but it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So before the primary even begins, they already have the media coverage. They have the political leaders backing, financial backing. So it's already shoved down your throat that that's the best candidate to win. And then all the video, all the audio, all the media is going to say that, they're the most electable. If you really hate the other party, this is the candidate you need to go with. And, so they just, so it's basically, as it's saying, a soft coronation. Again, going back to like 2016, 2020, Democrats cheat a lot in this situation. But what was it? It was 2016 against Hillary Clinton, Bernie against Hillary Clinton. The DNC broke rules and gave her more money than they gave Bernie, where in the primaries you're supposed to treat everyone equally. She got debate stage answers ahead of time when it was Clinton against Bernie. She had all the answers ahead of time. So it's things like that. That they got a lot of trouble. Donna Brazile was the DNC chair at the time. She had to step down as the scapegoat. It's like she took all the blame, even though it's not just her, but she had to take the blame. So there's more eyes on that stuff now, but it's it's all about manipulation. Yeah, and so like to Liz's point about the No Kings rally, like because we want to be clear that this like the king problem is really both sides, and whether it's one person with all the power or one establishment grouping with all the power, they are not representing us. And like at the end of the day, you pick two people, one of two people, and they're both basically going to be a king or a group of power that doesn't represent you as much as you think they represent you. So anyway, soft coronations, closed doors, like I know some people debate this about closed primaries. The idea is if you're registered a Democrat, you could only be in the Democrat primary. If you're a Republican, only in the Republican primary. If you're third party or independent, you're not allowed in either primary. And like I guess let's think we can't have a hard stance on where the right way is. I personally would think that you can't vote in each primary, but everyone, even no matter where you're registered, you should be able to vote. You should be able to choose one place that you're gonna you should be able to participate in one of the primaries. Like third party independent, it's like, oh well, they're not part of the party, so they shouldn't be in there. But it's like we only get two choices. We only get Democrat and Republican are the only viable choices. So you cannot cut out half of voters that don't want the primary candidates involved. If this was a true multiple party system, okay, that would make more sense. But the fact that we're forced into only two choices, I don't know. Again, as Fink, we can't have a super hard stance on what the rules should be for a closed primary, but it feels unfair. you know, that you have to specifically be registered for a specific party in order to vote in that party. And because like a lot of the thing that people are doing right now is like people that were like lifelong Democrats are registering as independent to show that they're not represented by them anymore, but they still want to be in the primary because they're more of a Democrat than the party leaders are. The party leaders are the ones that are not the true Democrats. It's the voters that are still standing by their original values. So either way, closed primaries makes it harder. So that's another piece to this. So before I go into the next one, go ahead, Liz. You want to tap in and also do a reset too after you say so.
Yeah, I'll do a reset, but first let me what I wanted to say was like, sure, there, Fink doesn't know the one true way of primaries, but the reality is the numbers are saying people aren't purely Republican, purely Democrats, right? So where in the system do they get their opportunity to voice that opinion? Like the system is not reacting to the reality of American voters. We can debate closed versus open, we can debate whatever, but it boils down to the system is not reacting to the will of the people yet again. People are saying we want better candidates, XYZ, and it honestly sounds like both parties, but since we're talking about Democrats right now, are blind to the will of the people. But more than that, it's no secret that Democrats know what Democratic voters want, but they're willfully choosing not to do those things, right? So yet again, they're choosing their power, their concentration of power over the will of the people. And so I just wanted to put that out there that there's no opportunity to not be an establishment voter right now. It's easy to do that, and B, those party leaders and they know what we want and they are giving to us. Why? Because they don't need us to stay in power, in my personal opinion. Yeah, I wanted to add that in, but let me do a reset. I see some awesome new people coming in. So if you're just joining us, welcome. We are Fink, Future is Now Coalition. We're live right now on YouTube and TikTok. But as Fink, as your civic utility company, so creating one system that makes democracy fair, simple, and accountable. So what that does, it makes sure that every candidate is seen, every citizen heard, and every journalist free to speak. With less waste, more representation, and real accountability, these shared standards keep leaders answerable to the people and not donors, right? Not the money should not be louder than the people. So again, if you're just joining, welcome. With such a people-powered mission and a people-powered focus, you coming into the live really helps us. Hitting follow or subscribe on our YouTube or TikTok is a great way to help us. Jump on in the chat. Let us know if you have any questions for us, any comments to react. Just welcome. And with that, I will pass it back to Travis.
Yeah, cool. So last one we talked about was the closed doors in the primaries. The media echo, I kind of mentioned this a little earlier. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that they're going to push the main candidate that they want to win, that in the status quo would win. And they shove that down everyone's throats immediately. So then any good potential new candidates, they're already like miles behind that establishment candidate because they were not coronated, they were not chosen to be the winner. So right now, while both parties have the lowest favorability ratings that they've ever had in modern history, it shouldn't be up to the party leaders to shove a choice down our throat. I mean, especially Democrats, their approval ratings in the 20 percentile. So obviously people want to change. So ask America what they actually want the change to be. But no, because they know they don't want the answer. They know what the answer would be, and they don't want that answer. So that's that. So the media echoes that their coordinated choice. It's friction by design. It's confusing deadlines. They don't make primaries very clear when they are. The disqualifications of people. They'll change a date or close a poll sporadically without really much heads up on that. So all sorts of issues like that that is involved in this that causes all these problems. And then with that, citizen confusion, scattered information, very few people are in the primaries. That's one focus that we want as Fink, is to really emphasize the importance of primaries right now. They shouldn't be as important as they are, but it's everything. Right now, as we're stuck in a two-party system, the primaries are everything. And, a lot of most grassroots organizations, they know that they want to take over the two parties by getting in the primary and have a good candidate get through the primary and then win the general is kind of the only way to work right now. So primaries are super important, but the stats are something like only about 10% of each party participates in the primary. So that's abysmal. And then so the average American is not being represented in the primary decision because that 10% is only going to be like extremes on different sides, and it's not going to be most Americans are not going to fall in that 10%, and so you're not being represented in the primary basically. Go ahead, Liz.
In addition to not being represented, there's the accessibility issue. If your polling place was changed, but you rely on the bus or a taxi cab, or I live in a very kind of, I don't know if there's a term for it, but cars and public transportation are pretty 50-50 where I live. So a lot of people rely on the busing system to get to the polling place, right? If it changes or what have you, that really throws a wrench in your ability to cast your votes. In addition to that, though, right, regular presidential voting and maybe even midterms are you legally have a right to leave work to go vote. And I don't know if that's true for primaries. So again, it's who's going to risk their job to go maybe vote for someone who might not even win the election? So it's like all of these points of accessibility really matter and really accumulate in our ability to voice our opinion. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely you're not allowed to leave on a primary. I guess it's probably company by company. I don't even know. Is it true that you're legally allowed to leave for voting on the general election? Is that a nationwide thing? I'm not sure if that's state by state.
I'm pretty sure it's nationwide that you get at least an hour. I think we have to look into that, but definitely something that's not widely known if both of us are scratching our heads about it.
Yeah, it's definitely, if it's true, it's definitely not well known. Yeah, we'll have to learn that. It's important information for us to know. I know they're trying to push to make it a national election, like for the election to be a national holiday. That is definitely something that should be, of all holidays, like that's an important day to let people off. But yeah, so we would definitely have a stance on that. So anyway, getting into our solutions. So in the near term, like with Fink, you'll hear our formulas. Like we have an immediate solutions that we're working on immediately. We have like a 2-year-ish solution stuff that happens around by the midterms. And then longer term solutions. So like right now, the near term solution is about our meta movement, a movement of movements. We're trying to connect different movements across the aisle, everyone from like money out of politics, ranked choice voting, third parties, independents, even movements that are trying to reform the Democrats and Republicans from within. Pretty much anyone that's not part of the status quo, part of the establishment, sold their soul, can be part of this movement. Movement of movements, meta movement. But so with the near term, we're working on building what we call action clusters that, even if you don't agree with your neighbor on your political, maybe they lean more right, you lean more left, or vice versa. there's everything that we talk about around voting, accessibility, being able to participate. That is not a partisan issue. It's most Americans want it to be easier to vote. Again, I know there's that legal thing that we don't touch about, like that's for America to decide about, like what's the legal lines of like voter ID laws and stuff. But specifically, having the information you need to vote correctly is super important. Being clear of when the primaries are and the general election should be that should be a right to know exactly who's running and all that kind of stuff. So what we're doing is building what we're calling action clusters, is, kind of putting your political lens aside, whether you identify as a Democrat, Republican, a socialist, an anarchist, a libertarian. Put that aside for a minute. Come together on these actions. Where do you want to, what kind of actions do you want to take on a specific issues? Even things that are partisan, like if you have a certain stance on healthcare, you want to like there, an idea of having like a better privatized healthcare that helps better have competition that brings the pricing down. That would be a cluster in itself. And regardless if you're a Democrat, Republican, whatever, anyone that wants that kind of healthcare can be in that cluster. So there'll be clusters around like money out of politics and ranked choice voting, as well as ones that would be partisan. But the idea is to like separate us from our lens, that like, no one can be stuck in just a Democrat or Republican box. Humans are more complicated than that. So these clusters will help, focus on the actions and stop on the division side, get more on the action side. So with the clusters, that would help coordinate and push these underdog candidates higher up. There's a lot of great movements out there that help run grassroots candidates, promote grassroots candidates, and it's just because everyone's grassroots and basically like a small business, they're too diluted, they're too small, and that the only way to work to get is by interconnecting it, and that's what the meta movement is about. Is interconnecting the different movements that exist, the different smaller parties that exist, into one larger meta movement that, again, you could stand wherever you want on political issues, partisan issues. There's going to be many times where two movements don't agree with each other in a lot of ways, but what matters is representation, money out of politics, getting out of the establishment, the status quo, and being able to amplify the grassroots efforts that you resonate with, without being enemies on when you don't agree with them. So that's the meta movement solution. And also getting around that unifying language around, looking at the bigger issue being up versus down. It's the people versus power, the establishment versus grassroots. That is the core issue that's going on in this country. Whether you're fearing Trump as ruining democracy, it's more than Trump. It's the system is breaking down. That's why we're in the problems that we're in today. And so part of this meta movement is seeing it as this up versus down battle, as the primary battle. I know it's going to be a long time before people completely get rid of left versus right, and there are a lot of policies that are easily divided between left versus right, and those are fine. It's just the deeper issues up versus down, that whether somebody left or right is in office is not, they're still not going to fix the problem, because as long as they're pro-establishment, they're not actually going to fix your issues. They're going to seem like they are, but they're not actually fixing your issues. And you could see that whether you have a majority Democrats in office or majority Republicans in office, the system still gets worse. The economy still gets worse. Your wages still get worse. Healthcare still gets worse. So, neither side is solving these problems. And that's why we have to do a different structure. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, and that's a great way to say it, Travis. That's exactly what Fink is all about. Because even when Democrats or Republicans know what their voters want, and it's purely Democrat or Republican values, those things still, unless it benefits those already in power, are still not getting passed, right? So even if you have all the right Republican talking points or Democrat talking points, and you have all your voters, it still does not equal much unless it serves the concentration of power, unless it serves the establishment. So action clusters really help build power from the bottom up, right? People funneling into an action rather than, like Travis was talking about, the coronation. For those who don't know what coronation means, when a queen or king is kinged, the crowning, that's the coronation, right? It makes them into a king. Um, so unless the powers that be say, yes, we agree with that policy, uh, it doesn't happen. So I just wanted to point out the broken nature, even if you have, like Travis said, all Democrats or all Republicans or a vast majority in power, those things are still not being passed. And that is wrong. That is not democracy. And that is the huge issue that Fink is addressing. It's not the will of the people, it's the will of power being perpetuated. Yeah, back to you, Travis.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so finishing this segment, bottom line is we're building an infrastructure that allows for like amplifying each other's efforts, that a third party can help ranked choice voting move forward, and ranked choice voting can help money out of politics move forward, and even two opposite sides of third parties, like libertarians on the right and progressives on the left, in a lot of policy issues are not going to agree, but there are things they could agree that help allow third parties to be viable and get the money problems off off to the side. So this is really this is how we do it. This is how we fix the system. So many people are saying oh, we need to work across the aisle. We have to work together, this and that. This is how it's done. This is the first truly viable way to do it. So many people say that, but then they don't have a course of action of how do we get started? We actually have a step-by-step plan to make this happen. And we just need to build out the awareness and people power to really kick this forward. So the more mid-level solutions over the next hopefully by the midterm is building digital democracy. So that's the digital embodiment of America's democracy. So we talk about having a one-stop shop for political information, have politician report cards, so you can see where does this candidate stand, what are their promises, but then do they actually deliver on their promises once they're in office, as well as who's funding their campaign and the industry the money's coming from, and just a lot of different ways to streamline and simplify participation. So you could go to one place. Hey, I want to find new media to tell me what's going on in the world. How do I find new media? Well, we're gonna have a home for independent media. We want to move away from the establishment media. There's 6 companies that own 90% of TV media. It's biased. It's not on your side. But there's thousands of independent media that on all sides of the spectrum. If you like somebody more right-leaning, left-leaning, a certain ideology, there's going to be an independent media that is in that lens and will actually give you a more genuine truth. Humans are perfect. None of us know the full truths of the world that's going on, but the point is that independent media is actually trying to give you the truth, where the establishment media is selling you a narrative that they're being paid to give you. And that's the big difference. It's the intention. See, with media and with the politicians, it's the intention. What is the intention of these people? Are they truly representing you, or are they, representing the ones that are giving them the most money? So digital democracy is going to streamline that information, help you discern which sides of the fence that is. So that's what digital democracy is about. And then a lot of different pieces to what digital democracy will be. It's going to be citizen owned, citizen built. Different movements are going to be involved. So it eventually just have it's just keep getting bigger and bigger and wider of what is encompassed in this system. But ultimately, before that can happen is really this meta movement of how do we work together, even if you don't agree with your neighbor on where they stand on healthcare, where they stand on social issues. There is this layer that you can get on the same page as them, and that's about true representation, money out of politics, stopping the insider trading in Washington, better voting clarity, all these things. You can get 70-80% of America to agree. This is how you fix democracy. Nothing else is working. Even when we say these things, people are oh, well, don't shake up the boat on the left. They need to be together to beat out Trump. It's they're already not together. They have the lowest approval ratings ever right now. So as bad as Trump is, and people claim him to be a fascist and whatnot, Democrats are still less popular than him. So, got to try something new. This is not working. So, we have this answer, and the answer is how to give you a voice in the way that you don't today. Like everything we're doing, we're not saying what the answer is to healthcare, what the answer is to social issues. Our answer is by building infrastructure that gives you those choices and puts a choice in your lap instead of the 1% that's in control. So with that, I'm going to pass that to you.
Absolutely. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about the meta movement and digital democracy and digital politics. We're not here to just be a replica of the broken system and tell you what to believe, tell you who to vote for, tell you, what you should believe or support. Uh, we trust you to make your own political decisions. We are saying, though, right now you're stuck between two evils, right? Whatever side you think is the lesser of two evils is still part of the same system of not listening to you, not being representative of you, taking big money over your vote, right? Uh, so we are saying, well, gosh, if people know what they want but aren't getting it, why? And big why is there's not the infrastructure for this kind of movement. There's not the infrastructure. There's not the ease of finding resources, the ease of sharing resources, or the ease of, gosh, not spending 2 3 hours studying before voting. Right? Shouldn't voting and democracy be just a little more manageable, a little more easy on your time clock, of how much time you have to give to something? And that's what we're all about, I think. How do we uplift the will of the people? Because it's certainly not happening in the democracy of today. What infrastructure, what language, what support do people need to really have their voice heard? And that's why we aren't just putting our heads down around a table at Fink. We are speaking to you guys. We're going live. We're wanting the will of the people, the voice of the people, to build this with us. Yeah, I'll pass it back to Travis real quick.
Cool. Yeah. So kind of getting towards our conclusion here. Yeah, so basically, like we said at the beginning, think of us as like a civic utility company. So, everything we're talking about is democracy, the system that helps us choose who to vote for. Right now it's rigged. We're all being manipulated to vote a certain way. So again, our votes do count when you're flipping the switch on your polls. That counts, but the problem is we're being manipulated to switch it a certain way. That's the key difference of what the problem is here. So what we're talking about is building an alternative system of how to help you decide who to vote for, uplifting these independent voices, these grassroots people on the left, on the right, anywhere, third party, everyone that's not buying out them, that just sell themselves to the highest bidder, is going to be part of this meta movement and building a system that gives them a better chance to succeed and overcomes the up versus down battle. Again, this has kind of been since the dawn of time, is that those in power, they want us to be divided. They want us to fight each other. And that's why it's the most divisive right now, is that it's a very easy way to keep us divided, is that we're fighting left versus right. And ultimately, we're kind of wanting a lot of the same end results. We're just fighting over the strategies of how to get there in a lot of ways. Not with every issue, but with a lot of the issues. But a lot of it's the false choice. A lot of it is the false narratives. They're purposely keeping us divided. They're purposely giving voices to the most extremes and the loudest. So we're talking about building a better system, mostly digital, that truly gives you a voice, gives you more control than you have today. So I'm telling you, it's going to get worse. Your wallet's going to get tighter. The wages are going to keep going down. It's been happening for over a decade that money's been going down. It's pretty much since 2008, since we had the Great Recession. Things have never recovered. Billionaires are richer than ever, for sure, but not average Americans. You literally have a lower wage after you account inflation and all that. So this is the answer. Check it out. Go to futureis.org is our website. Our handle on social media is futureis.org, all one word. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. We're about to jump in next week. We're going to start doing Facebook Lives in addition to what we're doing here. And we want to hear from y'all. You guys are part of this. We want to empower you to be able to get what you want, because you're not getting what you want. Even if you're a Republican and you think you're getting what you want with Trump, like really look at the numbers, look at your wages, look at what's going on. You're not. It's still getting worse. And both sides, and until somebody that's not corrupted is in office, that it's going to just keep getting worse. And if we keep going this direction, like maybe the Democrats are going to win, but it's still going to be the establishment side of the Democrats, and that's not going to be that much better anyway. And then it's just going to lull half the country into a false sense of security when it's just getting worse. So we need to change things. You can't keep ignoring it. It's going to keep getting worse. And with us, we're looking for just little acts of effort that can go a really long way. So like less effort, more impact is what we're going for. So with that, Liz, give some final thoughts, and then.
There's a home for everyone within Fink's plan, right? You don't have to be in love with third parties. You don't have to stop voting for blue or red. It's not about limits. We want to say you are not getting what you are voting for right now. If it's really important to you to vote for third party, check us out. It's really important for you to talk about open primaries, check us out. If you hate insider trading, check us out, right? Because all of those points, you don't have to support everything Fink talks about, but what you do care about, whatever that is, you are not happy right now. The system does not have an offer to make you happy right now. Hence why you care about it, probably. So just a invite to everyone. At Fink, we're very people-centered. We rely on people's support. We rely on the, like Travis said, the small actions that make great impact. Right now, it's tuning into our lives, hitting follow or subscribe on our social media to let us know you're listening and help such a people-powered mission such as ours. And keep tuning in, keep asking questions. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, like Travis said. We'll be utilizing Facebook's live next week. We're hoping to reach more people, but back, keep letting us know, what your personal pain points are in democracy, because we're trying to fix it, right? We're an organization that just wants to give the people what they want. We're not here to change your personal views. We're here to make sure that whatever you care about actually goes somewhere, leads somewhere. And with that, I think we're good. So to all who tuned in, and check us out this coming Tuesday. I believe that'll be at 1 Eastern.
2.
And then
2 Eastern.
11.
No, 2
Eastern. And then 11 Pacific. Great. Sorry, guys. Time zones are real hard, right? But thank you guys. And yeah, give us a follow. We really appreciate it.
Cool. Yep. See you guys next time.